You got to keep on moving. Hey guys, it's me T coming at you with a live burrito reading. What was I gonna say? Alright, so in case you guys, do I mention it? Okay, yeah, so in case you guys were live with me yesterday, I had a little bit of emergency that came up right towards the end of my reading. So in case you were freaked out by that, I'm sorry, because I literally freaked out, but also, and I haven't seen myself freak out like that in a long time. I'm not even gonna lie about that. But that really goes to show you, like, energy is contagious, but I also made it not so yesterday. Like, it's so fucking crazy. Alright, so anyhow, everything is fine, though, from what it seems to be. You know, we're just gonna move forward. So, got to keep on moving, right? That's the song that I just got on here with. So, yeah, so I apologize in advance. I didn't put it on YouTube because I haven't really heard it yet. So I'm going to see if there's a way that I can cut it out. But I don't even know if I'm going to invest my time into trying to cut it out. So if I put it up, this is just a warning that you might just hear that. So I'll put this one up first and then that one, even though I like to go in chronological order. Or I may or may not. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But I mean, it would make sense to put this one up first just to give you guys a little bit of a warning. But also, well, I'll listen back to it just to see if it actually needs a warning too. So, because it might have not been as bad as I thought, but energetically it was quite the scare. Okay, and talking about October season, right? Alright, so let me just pull one out for myself real quick. Oh, that one jumped out. Oh, thank you, Spirit. Okay, awesome. So, okay, cool. So, yeah, all is good. So, thank you, Spirit, for mine. Now it's yours. Actually, I'm sorry because I think I missed that one. Is this the highest and best? You know what? Let's just restart if you don't mind, Spirit. Okay, thank you. Alright, give me 1 second because I'm like, I felt the transition. I'm like, I'm not really ready for the transition, but maybe that's a part of the message here, you know? Transitioning happening where you don't feel like you're quite ready, but you're gonna transition anyway. Wow, that was a large and in charge yin card. Okay. Oh my god, confirmation! Okay, this is exciting. And it's funny because Spirit really wanted me to come on. Oh man, hold on, let me go get my water, guys, because I really, either I need my water or the coffee I just made. So give me 1 second, I left it in the other room. Alright, so thank you for your patience. It just hit me where I'm like, I really wanted my coffee, my iced coffee, baby, my iced latte, yo, because I love me and I love you guys a latte. Okay. But also I love me first a latte so that I can love you guys way more better. A latte. Alright. So I just have to say, whatever fears we have going on right now need to clear the fuck out. Need to go right into God's divine white light and or back to where they came from, because they ain't gonna stop us today, okay? Something just came in that might kind of like freak us out, but it's in a good way. Like, the thing that just got me a little scared was I just thought about something real quick, and it's something that it's like, it's actually good. I'm just creating, maybe it's me or maybe it's not me, right? Like, it's one of those things where it's just like, you just have to clear out the clutter, where it's, my whole thing is it's like a good thing, but you're kind of intimidated by something. Maybe that's the fear, right? However, okay, this is basically, I think, a second reading for today. So it's for, so specifically I'm hearing for tonight, okay? Into tomorrow, okay. Into tomorrow past 3 p.m., Spirit's saying. So we're basically doing, I think, a night tonight, which is really interesting. I like that, Spirit, yes. Oh my God, it's so interesting symbolically too. So this is night to night. Divine feminine reading, and I'm pretty sure that we're going to receive a lot more information about this reading. That's pretty awesome. All right, so let's get into it. Tonight. Come tomorrow. What are the words to it? Fight the break of dawn? Tonight. Fight the break of dawn. Come tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll be gone. Okay. So what's happening here is the first card is trust. Okay. And I'm going to go first card, second card, third card. First card, second card is, so the first card is a yin card, trust. Midway, happy way. Second card, within the next few months, okay? And, sorry, I have like a piece of orange stuck in my teeth and I can't get it out. It's pissing me off, actually. I'm really sorry. And third card, which is the yang card, which is probably until tomorrow night, is big, happy, fucking changes. Yes, that is so fucking amazing. Okay, so what's going on is, all right, here's immediately why I think that we're doing night to night readings. Okay, it's coming from me, which I'm a divine feminine, so, and I'm going to, I kind of work more so in the night, right? And it's also past 3 p.m. here, so it kind of just makes sense that we're doing it this way. I don't know if it's going to keep at it this way. Like, I don't know if we're going to continue doing it, which I think we are. But that was a big happy change, right? Happening right in front of our eyes. So the second thing is I feel like, all right, I feel like with this trust, it is basically, you're probably like an amphibian like me, where you love the day and you love the night. But there's something going on with the sun, that the sun really needs its time and space, right? So I think the guys are going to become kind of more daytime everything, right? Or like leading up to that, right? And the females are kind of going after the nighttime vibes, okay? So trust in the change in this, if that makes any sense. Like, you might be receiving, like, let's say, do I talk about it? Okay. So let's say you're a DJ, right? And usually at night, guys DJ at night, right? But really, guys, to be more in alignment with who they are and DJing at the same time, which is always the fucking goal, is to really kind of take on daytime vibes, right? And not to say that the switch needs to happen right away, or like your whole life has to change. It's not that. It's more so like, I feel like that's where we're heading. And like it said, like, we got number 1, number 2, number 3. So where we're kind of unfolding is within the next few months is the Midway Happy Way card. It's like, that's kind of where I think maybe there's like a transition in the body, or in the, circadian rhythm of things, which circadian rhythm has a lot to do with music, by the way, with harmony, right? I've been looking into that. I've been researching that. So phenomenal in terms of what the research has been coming up as. Like, it's wild. So I feel like I feel like the masculine is on the rise of basically mastery once they kind of open up to the daytime gigs, in a sense, right? And the females, I think, are doing more work at night, where it's like they're going to become maybe instead of like being like, let's say if you're a female like me and you're like, okay, I love the day, I love the night, I love both, right? It's the amphibian in you type of thing, right? I feel that within the next few months, as this Happy Midway card says, you are transitioning into sitting pretty in the nighttime, which is basically you vibing out at night and really kind of honoring the moon vibes and the energy of the moon vibes rather than the masculine vibes during the day, because I think they're getting a little too, like, I think it's kind of become a little bipolar in us female artists, because it's like we got to do shit during the day, but then it's like maybe like we're evolving into, because I always think too traditionally, right, like the Amish go to sleep at once the sun goes down, which is kind of normal, right? But now that we have all this technology, and now that we have like, you know, a connection from like the comfort of our homes, I feel like a lot of females are just gonna start doing fucking like, you know, nighttime gigs, right? And it doesn't have to be from our homes, it could be from wherever the fuck we choose. But my whole thing is like, it's more so probably gonna be nighttime gigs at home, right? Doing the work at home, because it's kind of, it's like more yin, or doing the work from our own personal spaces, right? Which is a double yin, you know? So I feel like this trust card is, you know, the Midway Happy Way is kind of going to be like gapped now, which is fucking nuts, because I actually just put that up as my YouTube, like on Instagram, I put up a picture in my feed as, or like in my profile as like a black with a white line and a black, like a black image with a white line or black image, saying, hey, what's this, right? But really, it's my YouTube video, right? So it's really interesting, because I feel like the Midway Happy Way of that white purity line is actually more so the angelic realm or the divine that's actually going to be the Midway Happy Way. So they're kind of they're the Midway Happy Way because they're tending to both the masculine, which is the sun side, and then feminine, which is the moon side, right? The quote-unquote dark side, but it's the positive dark I'm talking about always, so just so you know. And this is what Spirit wants me to come in with, is that's the non-angry, non-resentment, like I need to like get back at somebody with like my negative dark side. That's not the dark side that we're working with. We're working with the compassionate, true to ourselves, but true to our, not true to our negative selves, but true to our positive selves, type of, and I'm talking about self-compassion. I'm not talking about outer compassion. It always starts with us, with our own selves, which the man in the mirror, right? So I'm talking about dark, positive self-compassion, and then, you know, and then nothing else, and then basically all good to go from there on out. So basically the divine masculine is on the rise in the sun aspect, and they are standing, right? And the divine feminine is sitting and she's receiving. So the divine masculine is doing their thing that I just said during like standing and rising during the day, and we are doing the sitting, the praying, the meditating, the receiving, divine feminine aspect, divine feminine aspect of life, like through the nighttime, through the moon energies. So this is basically going to go on within the next few months. I think this transition is happening, and then we can all feel very much at home, right? So one of the things that I'm going to go into, do I talk about it? This is so funny. So I was watching at one point Married at First Sight, and it was the New Orleans version. And it was wild because I was in New Orleans while it was happening, right? So I was like, oh my god, it's so crazy. But it was during the pandemic, so it was kind of like, oh, I couldn't really like go out and like meet, like wanting to search for them or like meet them or whatever, right? Not that I would ever actually kind of do that, but if I wanted to, I couldn't. So not that I couldn't, I wouldn't want to, right? So I don't know, it's one of those things. So, but I guess I said that in order to feel closer, right? And I think that's really interesting because, that's really interesting because I had to say that twice because the whole thing about paparazzi came through this morning, Lady Gaga's paparazzi, and basically, like, I was like, yo, that's so funny because I feel like we have to be our own paparazzis. Like, it made me understand, like, how, like, the whole selfie thing. It's like, oh, people, like, the selfie movement is basically, like, self-loving oneself as their own paparazzi, right? And that's what I, like, didn't get. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I maybe didn't even want, to be honest with you, in terms of even understanding that. But because a lot of you know, even through my profile, you can see I don't really do a lot of selfies. And even like video taking, I'm like, like I'll do it, but like it's just, it's something that I don't have to actually do, right? So, it's not something that I like look forward to doing. And it's not to say that I don't love myself. It's more so that I'm like, I'm loving myself without having somebody else maybe even see the work that goes into that. But at the same time, and it's fine, like I'm fine with it, you know what I'm saying? But I was like thinking about that this morning, and I feel as though that's coming up too, where it's like, I think people are more on the rise of, maybe people, or like even the breakdown of it. I don't know what I was just talking about before, but basically, it was about self-love, but it was about paparazzi in terms of, the closeness, because that's what came up. Like, in order to feel closer to those couples, because they totally, like, a lot of them were my vibe, in different ways, right? But, like, what I wanted to say here was, maybe that's why people actually do the paparazzi thing to themselves, like, as a selfie, is to feel closer to themselves. So I just had to express that all just to kind of say, okay, it's self-love, but also it's people maybe wanting to feel closer to themselves, so they have to kind of look at themselves. It's kind of like, maybe more so like a mirror work, you know? Mirror divine magic work. So it's kind of like maybe a miraculous thing. So maybe those of you that don't do that normally are going to start doing that, because I feel like maybe we've reached this mastery, right, of which is inside of ourselves, but then it's also outside of ourselves, and now we can kind of put ourselves out there with a lot more security than if we were to not work on ourselves and then put ourselves out there, and then, like, you know, let's say, a commentary comes through that's like bullshit, and then we have to fucking feel like we have to fight it off, and like now it's like, now that we've done the work, we don't give a fuck, right? It's like, it's just that miraculous, right? So I think that that's maybe where this is all going, and whether or not somebody's gonna turn famous or not, it doesn't even fucking matter, because the whole thing is, when you're real, you have to kind of be real. The best thing to do is be real in front of a camera and not in front of a camera. You shouldn't have to change for a camera, and that's where the growth is, right? That's actually one of the things, Spirit's saying not to say it, but I really want to say it, so, alright, well, whatever. Anywho, so, long story short, the third thing here, which is basically tomorrow, which is, what's tomorrow? Wednesday. Oh, okay, so Wednesday is kind of like a restart day. It's the fortune, amen. It's the feng shui, thank you, feng shui day of health and healing and love and harmony and sex and joy and healing. If I didn't mention healing, after the health thing. So the whole thing is, here we have big happy changes. So I feel as though there's just like a lot of positivity coming through, a lot of celebration, a lot of achievement first and foremost. I feel like whoever has been like putting in the work, which is honestly, if we're talking about steps here, this is what I have to say. This is what's coming through. It's like you yourself first, then it's your outer world, right? It's like you inside yourself, then it's your outer, like not even outer world, it's you inside, you outside. Your outer world, right, which could be like your own world of which you take care of. Like, let's say, you know, you're living with people and you have like let's say like a little spot. Like I have a room that I work out of, but then I also have a space where I sleep out of, right? So it's kind of like I set it up that way just because I don't want to sleep. It's actually really bad feng shui to sleep where you work and work where you sleep. But at the same time, if you don't have that extra space or not given the extra space or whatever have you, like the whole thing is you have to kind of, you know, make do with what you got. And also, but for me, it was more so temperature. I really needed like colder temperatures while I sleep, because it's just way better for me to, like, I love sleeping like that, you know, all snuggled and shit, rather than like way too hot and can't fucking breathe and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, you can always bundle up, but you can't really fucking, I mean, you can, but even when you're naked, you can't like fucking just, you know, you just can't fucking get comfortable a little bit, right? So what I wanted to say here was, yeah, is like, okay, so then you have that space of which is basically your responsibility to take care of, right? Like whether it be an office space or your own, like, you know, sleeping space or whatever. And then you have the more so communal space, right? Like outside of you, like your environment, but also that could be either communal or it could be your own household outside of you, right? So it's like your main spaces first, and then the communal spaces, right? Like the main spaces that you kind of hang out in that are like basically dedicated to you, and then you dedicated to it as you kind of take care of it, and then the communal space, and then, you know, the outer space after that, and then the outer space after that, and the outer space after that, right? So that's what I wanted to say. It's like, when we're talking about step 1, step 2, step 3, I'm talking about you dedicating your self-care on the inside, doing the interior, you know, yin feng shui work, I like to call it. And then you do the outside, which is your midway happy way, which is like take a shower, put yourself together, fashion, makeup, you know, all that jazz. And then comes the outside where you are doing, you're tending just to what spaces you're dedicated to. And then if you want to go to the fourth route, with a fourth step route, it's the communal spaces like within yourself. So that would be like, you know, laundry room. That would be like the kitchen, you know, the guest bathroom, you know, anything that's like united, right? You want to keep kind of flowing in terms of keeping it nice, you know what I'm saying? And then everywhere else, it's like to each their own. Like, you know, you want to keep your fucking room a mess, keep your fucking room a mess, but like don't bring it out here. But I don't recommend that at all. I don't, absolutely not, because what I've learned today, or what I was reminded of today, which is what I believe in, is if you have your shit together on the both inside and outside, like if you're taking care of your home, right? That is wealth. People don't realize that's your health, number one, and that's your wealth. If you have a decluttered house, this is why I'm all about like being such a fucking bitch if you have a decluttered house. And not only because it's bad feng shui, but if you are fucking running a business, you're managing yourself, right, on all 4 of those levels, and then you're running a business, and that shit is not fucking, that shit is not, thank you for joining, by the way, And that shit is not, like, you're running a business and your outer world, like, let's say your own spaces are, like, taken care of, but, you know, you also need to get to the outer world a little bit to make sure that you eat well and that you eat right and that you're, you know, still doing your laundry while you're fucking tending to your, you know, business. So the whole thing is, it's like, if you have people, or if it's in and of yourself, like, if you're the only person in the space, I'm pretty sure you can handle it. But if you're living with people that are also in the united type of spaces, like, that are sharing the space, you literally, like, I get so fucking pissed off because of the fact that it's like, it takes so much work to reset it, to maintain it, and if somebody comes in and throws a fucking kibosh on all of it, you're basically, your system is fucked for a little bit, right? And it's like, oh, then you don't fucking want to do laundry, then you don't want to fucking do your dishes, then you don't want to fucking, then you run out of fucking, you know, cutlery, and you run out of, you know, like, all this shit. Like, it's really also the refrigerator, the cabinets, like, anything universal really needs to be tended to by, like, for me and myself, I love doing that shit just by me and myself, and I never want to get caught off guard, like, ooh, somebody's coming over, I have to, like, make a mad rush to, like, fucking go clean everything. No, I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna clean as I go. I'm gonna be neat first and foremost as I go, because then I don't have to fucking, then you can do the dusting, you can do the cleaning, and it's like, it's basically like, you know, you keep strict to your, basically your keeping everything in home base place, right? Then everything else is so much easier, right? Everything else is so much, like, you can get to it all, right? But the whole thing is, the first and foremost key is to keep everything in its fucking place. And even if you are an artist, right? Or you are, like, I'm a divine feminine, right? Divine feminines can be a fucking mess, you know, because we're less structured. But even if you are a divine feminine and an artist, just like I am, that you have to keep structured and you have to keep habitual and ritual in basically keeping everything in its home-based space so that you can actually tend to a lot more and grow a lot more. Because, and so that's where I get to be, I, like, bitch everybody out because of the fact that it, like, I'm telling you, it takes a lot of work. So if you're going to do the work, you have to protect the work also. And that's where my bitchiness comes from, because it's like a protection mechanism of sorts, right? It's like, listen, I fucking did the job. You know what I'm saying? Like, I did this job. We have to keep it this way and or better, you know, but the whole thing is, when it comes down to it, fucking shit needs to be, like, in its place. That's first and foremost, and clean, right? And then again, if somebody, like, arrives or, like, wants to come in or whatever, you have all those, like, surprises that can pop up. I'm never fucking worried about it. Like, I'm like, listen, you know, and if shit's out of place a little bit, who gives a shit? Because it's like, you know that for the most part, shit is in its place. So the whole thing is, like, you don't have to be embarrassed, you don't have to be ashamed, you don't have to, like, all of that shit goes out the fucking window, which is a lot of us, you know, females, like, we have a lot of that fucking negativity really deeply ingrained in us. So it's like, get to the work aspect of it, of, yeah, it's gonna take work, yeah, you're gonna have to do it maybe yourself, but it's for you, it's for your self-love. It comes back around to your own self-love so that you can pump more of that good fucking positive energy into yourself, into, again, your outside self, into your you know, your own dedicated spaces, and more, and then, you know, in terms of where you create from and where you sleep, where you rest, where you create from, all of those spaces are very important. And then how that, like, exudes onto others. So, like, for me, that's super fucking huge. It's like, it's basically like teaching yourself or reteaching yourself and or teaching your kids at the same time to reset all the fucking time. You use something, you put it right back. Maybe you use 3 things, right? You want to use 3 things at once. That's fine. It's a kit, right? Use your kit, but put the fucking kit back when it's done, right? So it's kind of like, and even if it's like not a united kit, you grabbed it from 3 different places to work on some sort of a project. After you're done, you put it right back. Like, it's that easy. And you leave the main part of the project out, for instance, in terms of what you've been working on, so it can have breathing space. And so that's what I do, because a lot of people, like, just leave all of their shit, like, there, which it's beautiful if you if you can do that, if you have the space. But if you're living a little bit more tight and a little bit more simple like me, you leave your project, the main thing, whether it's like a portrait or it's like a fucking piece of paper or it's like, you know, you're writing something, like it's your laptop, right? Like, and you keep that main thing that you're actually applying all the other tools to out, right? To remind yourself, oh, this is what I have to kind of work towards tomorrow. And it's, you know, this is what needs to be left out to get some breathing space because I wasn't able to complete it. But then you kind of are able to, then, you know, the next day after one, you know, since let's say you had those tools out, you put the tools back, the next day you begin renewed, right? Renewed, I think, is the key here. You reset to renew. And that's so fucking big because each and every day is a new fucking day. It's a brand new day. So the thing is, you want to try the best that you can to be proactive about resetting the night before so that you can renew the project that you're working on the next day in terms of when you intuitively get to revisit that project that you're working on. So what Spirit's saying, or what Spirit's having me come through, is within the next few months, make sure that this is a habit for you. Put this into play for the next few months, and you will see how much more brighter you feel, lighter, more beautiful. This is really gonna be super good for you if you're able to do that for the next few months. And so for the next few months, you do that as like your habit, that becomes like something that you absolutely love to do and you stick to it, you know, like so it's basically, after you sticking to it, it's going to stick to you. That's what I want to say in a positive way. And that's beautiful. Super beautiful. That's also going to midway, happy way, level you the fuck up is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing golden stairs. So it's like, just stick to it, stick to it, stick to it for the next few months, and you will see that you will have really you will have a lot of growth, a lot of leveling up. By the way, I was also picturing, like, if this really helps you too, you know, in my household, for instance, there's so many women now, right? And two of us of which are, you know, hands-on, crafty. I'm more like, I like things to matchy, right? But then, you know, my mother, for instance, likes shit all over the place. She's like a little kid. She just like likes color. She likes fucking everything mismatched, right? And my whole thing is, in that type of war zone, I'm gonna call it, because that's literally what it feels like to me. It's like, in that type of war zone, when there's two different like styles, right? And then also you're like females which go at each other, which is so super fucking annoying at the same time too. The way to harmonize it is you're going to, okay, I'm gonna put it this way. The way to still keep creative and sane is to make smaller what's it called, like stations, okay? So the stations are gonna be, excuse me for 1 second, guys. All right. The stations are going to be basically like, you know how you have like a coffee station and like that, and like, you know how like house things can be like of any fucking pattern, you know? And but a lot of the times people don't realize, the creative people don't realize, and my mom, I get my creativity from my mother, you know, and also my father, but like I get more of my structured creativity from my father. But like, so people don't realize that it basically, it really doesn't add to your quality of work if shit is all over the fucking place, first and foremost. And also, and that's just common sense. And also, like, if you like to play around and like move shit around and like you know, not color code anything, that can get you and others crazy. I actually find it to be hella selfish, to be honest with you, because of the fact that in a communal space you can decorate it the way that you want, but if you don't fucking give a shit about decorating, and if you don't give a fuck about keeping it nice and neat, and if you give a fuck about just like coming through and like tossing your fucking shit everywhere and this and that, it's like, it's fine, but at the same time, you're causing disharmony, you're causing dis-ease. And like the person that's causing the dis-ease doesn't trust themselves enough to actually pick up after themselves after a while. They're just going to leave it like that for like a fucking week and not touch it, right? But the whole thing is, you're causing, and here's what I want to associate: disharmony and dis-ease causes not having enough money. Okay, that's where I wanted to say, like, where it's you're causing a misfortune, right, to your own self, and then and I'm hearing guidance, like you're causing a misfortunate guidance to your own self and to another person living in your space that's actually trying to do good and to do better and to actually exercise that all the time. And you just want to fucking throw the kibosh. It's not cute. Like, it doesn't really, it doesn't help you. It doesn't help you, and it doesn't help another person. Even if you fucking hated a person in terms of, oh, they might, like, whatever your fucking mentality about it is, like, perspective-wise, like, oh, that person is, like, too structured. They don't want to let me live, and da-da. The thing is, it's like the person that's complaining about not being structured enough is not loving themselves enough to be structured enough, right? So the whole thing is, it's like, the complaining is like bullshit when you can literally just put all of your efforts to shutting the fuck up and just putting everything back to where it is. The same thing with kids. You know, the parents all like to say, oh, kids will be kids, da, 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 da. But like, you go into a classroom, and in a classroom they teach all the kids, you know, there's that song, Everybody Everywhere, something, I can't remember what it is. My mom used to sing it all the time. Like, put the fucking everything, put your fucking shit back in its place. Like, that's what you fucking do. They teach the fucking kids to put the shit back where it belongs. And that's proper. That's like, you know, so if it's taught outside in the world, you have to fucking make sure that shit is happening on the inside of your world. Like, you cannot be bad shit, you know? Like, and my whole thing is, you can be bad shit in a good way, but like, I can't be bad shit if I'm already bad shit in my own space, right? Because then I'm really fucking out of control, right? And there's no boundaries and whatever. And I feel like I'm talking even without any boundaries right now in terms of just like needing to go. But the whole thing is, it's like, that's what I want to say here is like, you know, people think that the freedom comes with, oh, I have no boundaries and I don't have to fucking do anything, and I just want to just like throw my shit down and all over the place when I come inside my home. But it's like, no, you're actually being disrespectful to yourself. You're dishonoring yourself along with the other people that live with you, which is selfish. Oh, that's the whole point, is that's what I wanted to say. Why I went into the whole spiel is because it's actually super selfish to like, but here's the thing, it's a negative selfish. You can be positively selfish. Like, when I clean for myself. I don't clean for other people. Like, I'm like, oh, I like my shit neat. So like, in a sense, I'm being selfish. But guess what? Guess who everybody else gets to fucking enjoy it? It's other people around me that get to enjoy the restart, right? They didn't create the restart, I did. So, and my whole thing is, and I'm not even like that to be like, oh, I created the restart, blah, 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 follow me. I don't give a fuck. My whole thing is, I wish you would follow me in a good way. Like, that would be a great expectation, but I no longer have that expectation. And I did very recently, I would still get pissed off that I have to be the one to fucking be the responsible one, and then also clean up after somebody, but then also maybe shit's not going my way and they're getting what they fucking, it's fucking weird. The whole fucking thing is like super weird. So, but I really discontinued that, thank you, Spirit, this morning, as recent as this morning. So these big positive changes coming through, they're not lying. Like, you might have actually done the inner work to actually like negate all the fucking bullshit that kind of had you a little bipolar, because you are now taking a stand, and a solid stand, in terms of where you want to, where you want to take your highest growth and highest potential, and where you're placing it to be, right? So the whole thing is, it's like, I don't think it's like a problem anymore. You've done the detachment work out of all of it, like the crybaby shit, like I think you've just made it clear to yourself that you're not going to involve yourself in it, and the way that it is the way that, you're just going to have to deal with it, and that's it. Like, there's not, like, you can't, like, what I'm trying to say is, I think the expectation of trying to be the change that you want to see in the world that you live in cannot fucking happen, right? It just, like, can't, So you're just, like, hands-offing it. You're like, you know what? It will be what it is, but I'm going to still work at what I need to do, and if it takes extra work for me to do, the energy is going to come from God, right? Like, it's basically like, you're not going to complain anymore if you're the only one putting in the work, in the universal spaces, and everybody just expects you to do that, right? So it is what it is. It's like, I like it. I'm going to, and also though, let me just tell you something, the protection aspect is going to get far more louder, is what I'm going to say, because of the fact that I also don't stand for it. Like, if I build something up, if you wreck it, you're going to fucking hear from me, and it's not going to be cute, because of the fact that it takes work and it takes effort. But at the same time, I'd have to think about whether or not I want to give it the fucking screams that it takes, and or just, whatever, I don't know, being a fucking bitch about it in a different way, and or just not giving it the energy that it needs to be given anymore, because it just doesn't, I really don't want it to matter to me anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's just one of those things. But it's very tough, because that it's so easy to fucking create a systematic flow and a space that everybody can harmonize up to, and everybody can reset to, and everybody can renew to, but yet it's all falling on one person. Like, that's not cute. That's why I also feel bad for, like, for instance, and it can go both ways, but majority men, right? Because us females like to stay home and, like, decorate and, like, make, or, like, again, it could be male or female, but usually, traditionally speaking, it was the females. And if you don't live in that type of, if you're not that way, I'm saying to you straight up, don't be a fucking haterade because the other person likes to fucking do their artistic way of, what is it called? Not burrowing, but nesting, right? Like, nesting takes work, and the whole thing is, it's like, you get to enjoy that shit too, so don't knock it if somebody else does it for you. Just say thank you and move on. But there's so much fucking, like, animosity towards, like, oh, it's all, like, she does that, or he does. It's like, I can't stand it. It's like, honor it. Just fucking honor it. That's the problem. Like, the complaints have nothing, like, so the complaints need to go out the fucking window, and the honoring of it needs to be like, you need to help to maintain it, right? And it's not just you as a spouse, or as a household person that you're with, like, it could be anybody, right? But it also has to be your kids, no matter what age, right? And no matter what age, too. I'm talking about elderly also. So many people like to cater to their elders, but you don't realize that you have years and years and years with them, so you fucking feed them the wrong habits. You're going to have to be cleaning them up, plus then some, as they get older. And that's too much work. It's too much fucking work. You're going to cause yourself self-misery. So the whole thing is, bitches need to stop being in their ego and let other people fucking help them within their household, so that they can get to enjoy a fucking household full of flow and a maintenance of sorts, where that flow is just prolonged for the longest time, right? Like, that's where you want shit to go, and from flow you can grow. It's so easy. It's so fucking easy. But, like, you have to have pride for your house, and if you're not the one who has pride for your house, then let somebody who has the pride take over. Like, because it's not that hard to do. You get to enjoy and reap the rewards and be the fucking king or queen unless you're fucking asked to help in a way. Don't be a ridiculous fucking asshole and be like, oh, you can't tell me what to do. No, both of you or all of you live in a fucking household where teamwork needs to fucking happen. And I'm totally talking to you from a certified feng shui consultant standpoint, where it's like, this is not appropriate. You have to fucking come together under one fucking roof and have everybody have their own, you know, have their own shit together. Especially so when you know that, for instance, in life, anything can happen. Emergencies can happen all the time. Do I talk about it? Okay. Spirit has me say it yesterday, wants me to say it, where yesterday I had an emergency, and I literally, first of all, you have to think clear, and the way that you think clear is decluttered, right? You have to be decluttered and neat at the same time. And the way that things came through, interestingly enough, was, you know, you want to work faster, you have to fucking stay decluttered, right? And the whole thing is, I'm very slow of a person. Like, I love my inside, you know what I'm saying? And I love working off of that energy. So, but in an emergency, I spit fire, dude. And not just because it's in my makeup, but the aspect of me being neat and clean and fucking decluttered and simplified has so much to do with why the fuck I'm super quick. But yesterday, for instance, like, so you know how I was saying, like, my mother's like the fucking, she's like the one that's like, you know, doesn't care about being all that neat. And I'm the one that kind of needs the extra structure because of the fact that I just have a lot on my plate, and plus there's so much creativity going on in my fucking world. So it's like, hello, if for me to get to all that, I need to like stay, you know, in a 1, 2, 3 type of zone. Like, this number 1 is done, number 2 is done, number 3, like, I have to stay a little bit more focused. And which is required, by the way, that's coming through from Spirit. It's required for creativity. Amen. And I believe that too. I really do believe that. And so, long story short, like, for instance, entrepreneurs, like, just trying to, like, you know, do their thing, get to, like, billionaire status. People have no fucking idea what it would take to get to that status, but the whole thing is, it takes some serious fucking habits, like what I'm just talking about, as a foundation to then be able to grow yourself and grow your business along with it to higher heights, you know. And that's where you're heading. Within the next few months, you're heading towards the higher heights. You're leveling up. Now, what I wanted to say here was, yesterday we had an emergency in the household where, you know, thank God I'm here. It's always whatever. I'm not gonna even get to it, but thank God I'm here. And then I realized it was very interesting. In my perspective, I've done everything that I need to do in order to keep everything nice and neat. So we have strangers coming into the household. Oh my God, guess who's freaking out? My mom. My mom's freaking out because she's like, oh my God, we gotta close this door, we gotta close that door. My door can be left wide the fuck open. Like, you can see exactly what the fuck I'm doing if you want to. Like, I don't give a shit, because my whole thing is, I'm in the preparatory stage, but also I'm in the systematic stage already, where I've mastered a whole bunch of just doing the simple shit. It's like using stuff and putting it back. And if I'm a mess, guys, it'll be up to, like, let's say 3 days max. It's gonna be a fucking mess. It's not gonna be a whole week. It's gonna be 3 days max where I don't feel like fucking touching shit, because I'm human too. And then we're gonna restart the 4th day, right? Like, it's like, okay, enough is enough. You have to give yourself that enough is enough type of self-awareness, so that you can really get back to what the fuck it is that you were doing, what the fuck you're meant to be building, you know. So yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So especially for emergencies, you want shit to be like for instance, you know, when the firefighters go around doing their whatever, like, for businesses, I guess they actually should do it for households too, to be quite honest. But I know that's a lot of fucking, you know, there's a lot to do. But, like, my whole thing is, you know, they always tell you, keep shit away from the windows. Like, don't have clutter, you know, by the windows, and don't have, and by the way, thank you, Spirit, for this is so fucking true, is like, don't have clutter by like, you know, by the windows, by the entrances, by the hallways. Like, don't, you have to be basically decluttered for any type of emergency fucking, you know, emergency thing to go down. And so I realized all of that as I was like picking up all the data, like from what was going on in my here and now yesterday, was I was like, oh, my mom's still like embarrassed that like shit isn't like perfect, but she was freaking out because it wasn't even about perfection. It was about, she fucking is a hoarder and she wants to fucking hide the hoarderness. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, I'm quite the opposite, and yet still I have things and I still don't give a shit in terms of like, here's my shit. Like, if you want it, take it. Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I wouldn't appreciate it, but I would still be like, okay, maybe he needs it or she needs it more than I do. You know what I'm saying? Fuck it. Like, you know, like my whole thing is, it's like, I don't care about that. Like I'm very, I feel very, I'm going to just say, I am able to create safety within and of myself when needed. And I really normally live like that, but lately it really kind of hasn't been like that a little bit. It's been a little fucking weird, but at the same time, you know, we're all doing our best here, right? Like, it is what it is. So, and again, and why I'm speaking about that unsafetyness, because there's been a little bit of bipolarness, where it's like, okay, at one point you're like, okay, you feel safe, and then another point you're like, yo, what the fuck is this? Because the thing is also, guys, people don't realize that, like, also, here's what I want to say, and I'm going to just say this up, I'm going to throw it up to ethers. Being organized is security. Being organized is a part of your safety. Being organized is, better yet, a protector of sorts, okay? Because there's an energy there, and I feel like as though, and here's how I want to express it, is if you know that you're in the moment of your life and you've put something down the way that you've put it down and it was moved, like, you'll know that it wasn't you that moved it. You'll know that somebody was there, right? So, and it's very interesting that I'm talking about this, because I feel like this has a lot to do with psychometry, which is fucking phenomenal, because I'm reading a book that's like about psychometry, and it's so it's like super interesting. But also what I'm sensing is, like, you know how they talk about like the fifth dimension in terms of like how spirit can like move shit around sometimes on you? Like, that can happen, but if spirit sees that you're, and this is what I want to believe, and this is the positivity that I feel like could be very true, is that if spirit sees you putting in the work towards your decluttering and towards you just trying to have everything together and you working towards your positivity, your A-team will protect you in that as well. So it's like double protection. You're like putting the work in to protect yourself, but then you're also protecting yourself energetically to let spirit know that you are worth the protection that they're fucking putting into you, and that you're being smart about it. And so they're like, okay, so you're making it easier for your angelic realm to fucking look after you, right? Why would they fucking touch shit if you fucking respect it, right? Like, it makes, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, if you're coming from, and again, decluttering is an abundance. To stay decluttered is wealth, right? So it's also miraculous a lot of the time. And so I just want to say that, you know, spirit really has your back in that aspect when you make sure that you are of that type of person, habitually and ritually, right? And ritually and habitually, however you want to see it. So, you know, this is definitely something of which you all have to kind of really require in your life, and you have to find the energy to, I'm not trying to say make it a battleground or a war zone in your household, but there has to be a limit to where somebody needs to stop fucking around with you, right? Like, it just has to be a limit. There has to be a limit reached. And so, and you know, sometimes we have to speak to spirit and the heavens about it. Sometimes, you know, you have to, like, if you're like constantly fighting and standing up for yourself and you're tired, you have to let spirit do it for you. I would suggest let spirit do for you and quote unquote trust it, just like this card says. Like, just sit pretty and trust that spirit's gonna come through for you, and that basically that let them do their thing and let them do their work on blessing the other people to see and feel the difference of a healthier household, and let your work, right, really speak for itself, is what I wanted to say, which is an energy, right? Let the work speak for itself. It's so beautiful. And a lot of the time it's so interesting because like I always, like in the past I would think, and this is like so stupid, but like I you know, my mind like runs to all different places sometimes, where it's like, all right, spirit's telling me not to even talk about it because it's not even that, whatever, it's not that important, and I am always open to shutting the fuck up when need to. So I think that's it. Is that it, spirit? Is that it? Is that it? Okay, hold on one second, guys. Alright, I just needed to cheers that reading with the water, I guess, and now I'm gonna shut it down. So thank you guys so much for coming on this live with me. I really appreciate it, and feel free to re-listen to it on YouTube, baby. Alright, take it easy. Bye.